Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Code. Drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go.
In addition, today we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people don't really want to talk about. They dance around it or they ignore it. Today I want to talk to you about basically the reality of having a group of people on the internet that hound you and stalk you. They call you a lol cow. They try to elicit a reaction from you. And I want to talk to you about basically how you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, and how you react to these people. I've changed my philosophy for the most part on how I react to these people recently, but it's to different levels of result. I basically just want to tear into this topic, okay? So we will on today's show and more. There's a lot to talk about. So I'm excited to hang out with all of you for a nice level 1 podcast with my lesbian haircut this morning. So sit back and relax. Let's do it. It's time for the show. We should cover a story that I want to talk about today, all right, regarding the situation of trolling, of how to address it or ignore it. Allow me to get into it right now. I think it's pertinent because the one gifted sub that we just got is from a troll, right? So let's actually just address it very factually, very matter-of-factly from what just happened, okay? So we got a group of people, there you go, who stalk me on the internet, who basically can't get enough of darksydephil. They microanalyze every aspect of my life. They do it for a couple of reasons. For some people, they get entertainment out of it. For some people, they actually make money doing it. They actually have YouTube channels where they restream or they clip and they do toxic negative stuff. And they feel like they're getting big benefit out of doing it, right? Some of these people are just mentally cracked, while some of them make thousands upon thousands of dollars basically trying to bully me on the internet. What's funny about it is, it really doesn't have a negative effect on me in any way. Even though they have their own weirdo communities of people who stalk me and say toxic things, I just go on my merry way and do my own thing, and I'm good. I'm doing well. My streams do good. I get good support. Everything's fine. So it's not like these people are actually like hurting me in any way, but they act like they are. They think that their online bullying somehow gives them some kind of relevance on the planet, when in reality it doesn't. All it does is it makes people who are, how can I say, of a certain mental aptitude, they seek each other out and they have these weird social relationships on the internet together because they never would have these kind of relationships in real life. They're just not normal. This is not how normal people behave. They don't hyperfixate on someone, stalk every aspect of their life, and basically bully them endlessly and then laugh about it in a group. That's the behavior of like a 5-year-old on a schoolyard. You know, a group of bullies bullying some kid. It's not what adults do. And certainly it's not what intelligent, mature people do, because they have busy things to do with their lives. You know, they have families, they have kids, they have jobs, they have school. They have things they have to do that are more important to them because it's constructive to them. They don't spend all of their time hyperfixating on others on the outside because they're so busy with their own lives. But this group of people don't have their own lives. Their life is sitting eternally on the internet hating on people. Okay? Some of these people probably don't just fixate on me, but fixate on a few different people who they bounce between every day and laugh at, making fun of, despite the fact that their lives are absolutely miserable. So why do I bring this up? Well, as you could see, it just happened, right? These people do what they can to try to interject into the content. Here we go again. To try to interject into my life. And for the most part, I found ways to basically just move on and ignore it. Doesn't affect me at all. At this point, to be honest, I'm bulletproof to this shit. It just doesn't have any kind of control. But every once in a while, things, sadly, either do affect stuff and I have to bring them up and explain what's going on or why. And then people are like, well, why are you bringing up the trolls? Right? Or in the case in point of this person who literally has like 10 accounts on Kick and just drops gifted subs left and right with supposedly insulting names on them. People are like, well, number one, why does that happen on your stream? And number two, you know, are you going to bring it up? Do you ignore it? What do you do? Right? Well, in this case, particularly, I can tell you, Kick has a problem. Kick has a problem where even if you ban someone, they could still contribute to your stream. Now, does that make any sense? No. On YouTube, if you get banned, can you contribute to someone's stream? No. On Twitch, if you get banned, can you contribute to someone's stream? No, but Kick is stupid. Kick is kind of playing catch up with everyone else. Not to say that they're not a good streaming service. They are, but they have these loopholes. I mean, hell, they had a loophole where people could use the channel points to say things on your channel when they were banned. It's just so dumb. So this is a loophole in their system. Will they eventually patch it? I don't know. For them, maybe they just want more money. Remember, they get a little cut of everything, so maybe they just want more money and they figure this is the way to make it. I don't know. But for me, if I don't have pop-ups for Kick, right? If people who contribute on Kick don't see a pop-up on the screen, likely they're going to feel left out. They're going to feel like, well, that's not fair. Why don't I get credit for my contribution? So it's a choice of all or nothing. Either all pop-ups show up, including legit supportive people and trolls, or no pop-ups pop up, and therefore no one will ever get credit for this stuff, right? So I've chosen essentially the I guess, lesser of two evils. I would much rather have everyone get credit for their contributions rather than no one get credit, if you know what I'm saying. So that's why I just kind of put up with it, right? But then the question is, do I address it? Do I ignore it, right? How do I handle it? And this has been an ongoing question ever since I started on the internet. You know, when I first started facing this online bullying and harassment way back when, my very first, I guess, person who really was upset with me and started trolling me was actually a former, I guess, fan who, I guess, felt slighted because I guess they either wanted attention or something. I guess they thought there was some kind of a transaction or a interaction I had with them that I treated them poorly. They quit my community and they made an account called DSP Cult Leader. Okay? Then they actually legitimately started making troll posts and videos saying, DSP is actually not a gamer. He's a cultist. He's trying to have a cult of children on the internet that he's trying to brainwash and follow him. Now, when you say that, that sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it? It sounds pretty wild. But people, you know, back then, that was the first real, true group of detractors that I ever had, although we didn't call them detractors at the time. For the most part, guess what we did? Laughed. Everyone in my community laughed at it. We didn't pay it any attention or any mind. Every once in a while, we would point it out. There would be a comment on a video, and we'd laugh at it, and you know, what an idiot. And we would just move on. But that's because at that point, that was before there was this giant internet movement called This Is How You Don't Play, which basically made it cool and hip to make fun of darksydephil. So it was easy to ignore it. It wasn't the norm. It wasn't a big deal, nor was there a group of huge, obsessed people who were following me. Okay? So as the years moved on, things changed. As we all know, the This Is How You Don't Play movement did happen, and I reacted poorly. My reaction to that, instead of laughing at it or with it, was to get angry. How dare these people steal my content? How dare they make these videos about me? This is not fair. They didn't use, it's not fair use, and they didn't get my permission, and blah, blah, blah. Now, obviously, my attitudes have completely changed over the years, but back then, that was my initial reaction, and so the internet reacted appropriately to that, saying, oh, so this guy thinks his shit doesn't stink and thinks that he's above reproach and no one can criticize him. Screw this guy, he sucks. And the entire internet's attitude toward me changed, except for my hardcore fan base. So although I retained enough of a viewership to keep going and maintain a business, the whole major feeling toward me by the internet was toxic and negative rather than positive. Instead of people being along for the ride, laughing at the joke of the content that I was putting out, they were instead saying, oh, it's no longer good. I won't watch darksydephil anymore. Instead, I'll just go watch the This Is How You Don't Play highlight so we can all laugh at him and he gets nothing out of it. He doesn't benefit from it, right? And that lasted a while. Admittedly, all right, it did. I didn't go and buy into it like I should have. I didn't really participate in it in a positive way, all right? Then over the years, I grew up, I matured, I became an interactive streamer. And really, that's kind of when things changed. When I started actually just hanging out with the audience every day and having a good time and having conversation, rather than it being me offline, making a video, uploading it, and hoping that you consume it, it was us hanging out together every day, kind of making the content together, if that makes sense. Having that social interaction changed everything. And now we're going on 9 years that I've been an interactive streamer. I absolutely love it way more than what I did offline before. I really do. I think that it's better content. It's more organic. It's actually more meaningful to the internet than me just sitting here playing a game, ignoring anyone who's in the chat, just doing, off the cuff commentary, which used to basically be way extreme, sexual comments and racial comments and just anything risque or offensive to get a rise out of my audience so people would talk about what DSP did today. Instead, it's more natural. When you watch my content today, you're getting the real Phil as opposed to some character who I was trying to portray some over-the-top exaggeration in order to try to get you to laugh. And so, things changed for the better. And over the last, 10 years, I have tried to evolve to become a better person and a better creator, to learn to laugh at myself and my mistakes, to try to improve as a person. But what's happened is, this audience, who at one point were hyper-fixated on me because I was this full of myself, feeling like I was above reproach content creator, said, well, wait a minute. All these years we've been making fun of Phil. We've been getting views and popularity based off of it. But now he's changing, and that's not good for us, because that means that what are we going to make fun of now, right? What are we going to do? So what ended up happening was they would hyperfixate on more nuanced stuff that really wasn't part of my content. Gee, I wonder what Phil spends his money on behind the scenes, mobile games and shit like that. Hey, I know, let's harass Phil's wife. That's a good idea. Someone who's not even part of his business or content. Let's find out stuff about her and try to harass her on the internet and say horrible things about her, right? That's what it's become now. Rather than it being actually based on, oh, Phil's a bad actor online and we wish that he would get better and let's make fun of him. It's become, let's just start horrible memes that maybe aren't even based anywhere factually in reality, but just pass them on and regurgitate them over and over until it becomes so normalized to bully Phil that it's a joke. The bullying now is the joke. It's not even that Phil did something bad and we must call him to task for it, but instead, let's just make fun of him and all laugh at the joke together so we feel better about ourselves. And of course, the people, again, who've been making the videos are now making tons of money off of this ridiculous bullying content that's not based in reality. Now, it's gotten to such a point that even if I bring up anything about any of this at any point, people call it a crash out. I want you to think about that. Crashing out. That whole phrase, it insinuates like a car wreck, a train wreck, that something is so horribly going wrong that you can't keep your eyes away. Ooh, someone is freaking out. Let's watch it today, right? They'll actually say that this segment of my podcast is a crash out because I'm simply addressing it. Even though that's not what the term means, that's what it's become if anyone addresses anything on the internet, that's considered, I don't know, controversial or anything that's criticism, that's a crash out. Well, it's not, but that's what these people say. All right. So just the fact that I bring up anything, supposedly I'm crashing out, right? If you say so, logical people think, hey, I'm a streamer. I have the right to talk about any topic I want. If today I want to talk about this, I will. If tomorrow I want to ignore it, I will. That's my prerogative as a creator. And you have no control over it. You can call it a crash out if you want, but if I address something logically, what's wrong with that? Now, if I address something with a lot of passion and a lot of emotion, because maybe something is going on in the moment, like if I'm crashing out over Street Fighter 6 because I'm playing online and the game dropped my inputs for the 17th time in a row that day, is there anything wrong with that? People used to call that a natural reaction and loved it, a rage moment. They loved that in content. Now it's a crash out to be clipped and turned into some kind of sensationalist content, and then you say, oh, it's a horrible thing, they did bully the person. No, that's called being human, actually. If you're not aware, humans get emotional over things, they get worked up, their adrenaline gets pumped up, their blood pressure goes up, and they have reactions. That's part of the natural course of life. It happens offline, it happens online, it happens everywhere. But these people have turned this now into like a clip farm where anyone who reacts to anything, it's a crash out and get attention on it for yourself, right? So you could say, Well, you should just ignore it all. Don't ever address trolls. Ignore them completely. Act like they don't exist. I have tried to do that. If you haven't noticed, there's pop-ups on the screen of people who are gifting these stupid subs, and I can't stop that unless I turn off all pop-ups. So I just choose to not address it and ignore it. But then, oh, look, they got attention on Phil's stream. So you see, he's a lolcow because we got the attention we wanted when the pop-up happened. But I ignored it. Doesn't matter. See? So if you address the trolls, that's a crash out. They got your attention. They win. If you ignore the trolls, they still got the attention they wanted. They win. Isn't that kind of weird? They set up situations where they feel like no matter how the person reacts, they still got the response that they wanted. And therefore, they win and they get the clip and they get the content. So do you see the point that I'm trying to make here is that when you're in a situation like I am and many others are, it's not just me. There are many other people on the internet who have these weird, obsessed communities around them that stalk their every move, that spin every action they do into something negative, toxic, a crash out per se. Well, no matter what we do, we're wrong. There's no way that we could possibly do something right in the eyes of these people because the only way they get their jollies off is to say that we did something wrong. So how do you address it then, right? Do you ignore it? Do you completely take it head on? What do you do? I'll give you an example. Yesterday, as my late stream was ending, okay, I had raised around $100 in support for playing 2 indie games last night. Personally, I find that's fine. That's good. For indie games, a 2-hour stream, that's great support. I have no problem with that at all, right? But I made a comment and said, you know, last time that we did indie games, actually, we had done much better. And I think the thing is that we had already played these games once before. This was the second session, okay? And that's probably why we saw a little bit of a decrease of support. Next week, we're going to do another stream of these games to finish them up. Regardless of the fact that the support had dwindled a little bit, I still want to play them and finish them because I like these games, okay? So a troll in chat says, hey, you see, Phil's all about the money. All he cares about is the money. That's why he streams the money, the money, the money. To which I looked at the chat and I actually responded and I said, how could that be true? I literally just said on stream, I'm going to play these games next week anyway, regardless of the fact, that the support had gone down this stream from the last one. I'm actually playing them because I like them, not because of the level of support. Okay? So now I've countered the troll's argument with a fact, with logic. They don't have a further argument. They can't even counter it because there's nothing else to say. I've proven them wrong. So what do? Ha! I got you to respond. You see, you're crashing out now. So if you ignore the troll criticism, which isn't really criticism, it's an attempt to goad you to get you to respond. If you ignore it, they're right, correct? Because if there's no response, if there's no defense, that must mean that it's true, right? You know, all these years that people say horrible things about me and my family members and people around me, if I didn't address it, it must be true, or else Phil would have already addressed it and debunked it, right? So that's the attitude they have. Ignoring the nonsense basically keeps it off of my streams, sure, except for when they spam my chats and stuff like that. But then they just say it's true because Phil couldn't disprove it, right? So then if I counter it and I disprove it, guess what? Oh, you see, even though you disproved what we said, you took the bait, you gave us the clip crash out moment, and now we get more content out of it. So either way you react is wrong, and they get what they want. You see? So the attitude that I have today is very simple. If I see something stupid on a stream, like when I see this guy gifting a sub and it says Phil's lesbian haircut reel is their name, right? Now I can't stop that contribution. I don't want to turn off all pop-ups on my stream. I want to have credit for those who are actually going to support me legitimately, okay? So when I see that pop up, I decide to react and I say, well, yeah, Phil's lesbian haircut because lesbians, all right, try to have a haircut that emulates that of like a manly man. That's the point. When you say lesbian haircut, you're thinking a manly haircut. So you're saying that I went and I got a manly haircut. Okay, Makes sense. Thanks. And thanks for the contribution, stupid. Done, right? But now I've crashed out. Even though I've addressed it, I've embarrassed them publicly for being so stupid that they thought that was an insult, and it's not. But now, I've crashed out over it, right? Because I addressed it. So here's the thing. I can address whatever I want, say whatever I want, in any way, shape, or form, and I'll enjoy it, and my actual positive audience will enjoy it, and the trolls can do whatever they want with it. It doesn't matter because trolls are insignificant. Trolls have absolutely no impact at all on anything. They're an annoyance sometimes. If the idiot comes into my chat with his millionth troll account for today and starts spamming, and all the normal chatters like, oh God, this idiot again, this mental midget is in the chat doing this. I mean, what kind of a guy, or what kind of a life could he have if he's literally making 50 to 100 sock accounts every day just to spam a small-time streamer's chat, right? Like, it doesn't even make sense that he'd be behaving like that. It's insane. But, he's doing it is wild. It's weird. So we all just like, and then we have to, moderate him or whatever. But for the most part, I'll ignore it. I'm not going to bring it up because it doesn't affect me. Really, they're in their own weird, bizarro world where they think that their existence actually matters to someone, that they actually have an impact on anyone's life. They don't. They're all just miserable wretches who have actually found a way to locate themselves on the internet, to latch onto each other, and to basically make a parasocial community off of me based on clowning on me, despite the fact that they don't affect me. Okay? I'm the one who streams myself on the internet every day, has a great chill time with my audience, plays fun games, hangs out, has great conversation, right? Good interactive times. I get great support from my audience as a result. They reciprocate and say, thank you for the content. Please continue to make it. Have a good life. Here's support. It all works. And I'm doing better right now than I have been doing in many, many years. It's excellent what's going on right now. The fact that I have ultimate flexibility over my life and I can play any game I want at any moment, and we can do these tryout nights and we can play new games on the fly, or we can choose to stick with a game that's great even if it's not doing so well. It's fine. It's all good. I have more control right now than I've had in a very long time, and I'm very grateful for that. These trolls ignore it because that's not their reality. Their reality is that every moment they have to believe that I'm some kind of a miserable wretch, that my life is miserable. My wife has left me, even though she's here every day, but and we have a great life together. In their mind, she left me, but then they also talk about her every day in a toxic way. But how would that, if she left me, how would that affect me? See, their own even trolling logic contradicts itself. It doesn't even make sense, the things they say and do, because they don't make sense. They're not meant to. They're just meant to be toxic things to say as talking points so that their very primitive walnut-sized brains can recognize, oh, I recognize that toxic meme about DSP. Let me participate in it now and feel like I'm part of something social because I actually don't have any friends or family or anyone who care about me, because I've turned myself into an antisocial loser who just hyperfixates on Phil on the internet and becomes part of a social group of cultists who dump on him every day. Do you see? Like, it's not actual intelligence. It's not observation of fact. It's not, hey, let's actually have Phil improve with something that he's done wrong. It's let's just focus on some kind of a weird, bizarre, hyperfixated, almost autistic level of obsession over something Phil said or did once, like the banana song in Donkey Kong, which to this day makes no sense that anyone ever cared about it, but turn it into a toxic meme that we all laugh at like 5-year-olds frothing at the mouth. Like, what? You're mentally challenged. Do you get it? You're really messed up. But they don't. These people have insulated themselves from any level of actual observation or criticism. No one knows who they are because they hide on the internet. They don't have friends or relatives who even know what they're doing in their off hours because this is how they spend their time. There's some people like, I have a hobby, or I go and work out, or I do this. They sit on the internet making fun of darksydephil. This is their hobby. I mean, you're mentally cracked. You say, I'm crashing out. Every day when you sit down and you just hate on someone on the internet for no reason and it makes you feel good about yourself, that's way more of any kind of a crash out than someone on the internet could have because they were emotional about something. Do you understand? Like, having a human response to something with emotion or passion is a natural thing. What you're doing, actually deciding to spend your time to be toxic to someone on the internet you don't even know and to feel good about yourself about it because you did, that is so much more worse than anything that anyone you've ever called a lol cow has ever done on the internet. But you wouldn't understand that because you don't look in the mirror. You just look at the people you like to make fun of to feel better about that horrible reflection that you have in your own mirror. So, how do you respond? The truth is, there is no ultimate right or wrong way to do so. Because if you ignore everything, ultimately some things are going to affect you. But if you have a flat-out I ignore everything policy, eventually some of your fans are going to start to distrust you. Maybe they'll start to believe the bullshit because they're going to say, well, if he doesn't address anything, that means that it's all true. Now, obviously, that's not the case. But sadly, some people just have that mentality that if someone is refusing to even give any attention to something horrible someone's saying about them, it must be true and they just don't want to talk about it because that would mean admitting that they've done something wrong. That's not the case, but that is sadly kind of human mentality, right? That's how people think. Now, if you absolutely address everything, okay, that's awful because you're basically going to spend all of your time addressing toxicity and hate, and you'll never have time to be positive about anything. Like if I addressed every troll right now who's sitting in the kick chat, how on earth would I ever have time to make positive content? The answer is I wouldn't, right? I wouldn't ever make positive content. I'd be losing my hair. I'd be ripping, well, I am losing my hair, but I'd be ripping my hair out of my head and I'd be freaking out, right? And I'd be just going nuts and constantly crashing out every single day. Now, there's sometimes that maybe I can address it where, like, if I see the pop-up from an idiot gifting me a sub and it's a toxic name, I can laugh at it and expose how dumb they are. You know what I mean? Like, oh yes, you're gonna bring my wife's name up in a troll sub. Yeah, because you don't have anything to actually say of intelligence. So you give a schoolyard insult because you have no fucking brain. Like, you just pick on someone who literally has never done anything to you because you feel like it makes you feel better about yourself. It says more about you than it ever says about me or my wife or my family. You see, it really does. It says that you are a very, very sad person, that your life is horrible, you're probably poor, you're just sitting there miserable, and the only way that you can ever have a modicum, a tiny piece of happiness, is to try to bring others down. Your existence is worthless. And the thing is, you could change that. You have to understand, you could change that. If you actually motivated yourself to do something constructive and positive with your life, go work out, right? Go get a job. Get a hobby that's constructive. Get some friends. Go donate your time to helping people, right? You could go do charity work, go to a soup kitchen, do Habitat for Humanity. For goodness sake, if you have nothing to do with your time but just sit around and hurt people on the internet, you certainly have time that you can donate to help people, right? But the thing is, you have to motivate yourself to be better. Instead of focusing on, I just want to dump on someone and be toxic, which is the easy way to exist, you actually have to realize you're wasting your life and try to turn it around to do something better with it. Now, not everyone can do that because a lot of people are very mentally weak. I mean, hell, people who join online cults who hate people are mentally weak. That's why you joined the cult to begin with. You have to break that level of control and go off and do something for yourself. Okay? Just do it. Seriously, you'll feel so much better after 3 hours of building a house for someone who doesn't have one than 3 hours of sitting on the internet dumping on a streamer. Because you'll actually say, I did that. I helped out a family in need, rather than I crapped on someone who I don't even affect. You know? But that's it. These people are nuts. They need help. We have an entire group of people. It's not a whole generation, but certainly it's this most recent generation who've grown up always online. And they don't have anyone who's supervising them. They don't have anyone who's watching them, anyone who's guiding them through life to say, whoa, what are you doing with your free time? That's not right. This is how humans have existed before and been healthy and happy. This is what you should seek with your time. Not this new toxic online culture of crap. This is actually the worst possible thing that you could do with your time. But no one's looking at it. And what's happening is we're seeing a whole generation of people grow up broken. They're not socially trained. They don't know how to interact with people. They don't even understand social cues and things. Instead, they just are weirdos who sit around doing bizarre fucking things. It's just really cracked human behavior that should be being analyzed by people who have the power to help and speak up and fix it, but it's not. It's actually going completely unrecognized and completely unobserved. And then when we have horrible things happening, right? This person went nuts and went on a violence spree somewhere. And we say, how could this have possibly happened? Well, did you ever, for one moment of your fucking time, look at that person and their lifestyle and see what they were doing? Because I guarantee you, those people who do that stuff probably sit online all day doing toxic shit on the internet. They don't have friends. They don't have family who care about them. They just sit there with absolutely no purpose to their lives. And then one day they snap. And that's who becomes your next crazy mass violence committer, because no one analyzed or cared about the situation. It shouldn't exist. It's busted and broken, okay? For me, there's not much I can really do about it. And I've accepted that fact. I've come to the point where it's like, if this person, every time they gift a sub, I just have to shake my head and be like, cracked individual, can't stop it, no reason to really address it. But if I want to say, hey, look, even your joke is stupid. A lesbian haircut is a manly haircut, so I have a good haircut, thanks. I can do that if I want. It's my prerogative. I don't have to ignore everything. I can make a joke. If I have to, sadly, do some moderation on a stream or something because the moderators aren't around, I can do that. I can joke about it. I can take it seriously. I can ignore it. It's all within my power. The truth is, no matter how I react, it's a crash out to them, so it doesn't really matter. But for my audience, I want you to understand the reason that I felt like I wanted to talk about this today very rationally and calmly is because I've been seeing it pop up more and more. This guy who literally sits here with 50 sock accounts a day, the guy's not well. And we all know that. Like, the thing is, at one point, it's like, okay, it's kind of funny, the guy's coming back. But once he does it the millionth day in a row, and once everyone in chat's like, dude, what is going on with this guy? Yeah, we all recognize the guy's nuts. And it's just, you know, it's just crazy that these people have actually normalized this level of behavior to think that this is fine, this is normal, this is fun stuff for the internet. It's not. It's busted and broken, but we get it because we're of sound mind. These people are not. That's why they behave like this, and that's why they think it's okay to. They've actually familiarized themselves with another group of people who are cracked just like them, and they have these weird social groups and cult-like discussions on Discord about this shit. It's bizarre shit. I never wanted to get into it, but people send me the information and say, look what happened to them. Oh my God. These people actually are just, they're not well. And no one talks to them about it. No one tries to help them. They're just left to their own devices. That's why we're having the situation we have with humanity right now. Quite frankly, we've advanced technology so much, we can have all these relationships over the internet, but humanity's not really ready for it, right? We're not. We've got communities of people who are broken, and now they've formed toxic groups of hating love, if that makes sense. They love to hate. That's not human thought process. That's actual, illness. So, moving forward, I'm not going to address it all the time, but I might every once in a while and laugh at it. But understand, I just want to make this abundantly clear. It doesn't affect me. Because people say, how can you every day stream when you have all these people who dump on you and say these things about you? Because it doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't. There are people who are committing crimes against me every day, stealing my content, illegally live restreaming it. That sadly does affect me business-wise. But as a person or as a creator or as someone who has fun with the content he puts out, who cares what these idiots say? They're not you, they're not me. We're having a good time together, right? Why would anyone give a crap about this stuff? Oh no, you gave me more money. Oh shucks. What a horrible thing, right? So it is what it is. From time to time you may notice, sadly, I do have to address it. I do have to go and moderate or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing I can do. That's just the reality of being a full-time creator, is that sometimes I do have to address it. But understand, when everything for them they've tried to organize into a win, it's not a win. Every crash out that they address means that they lose. because it means they have no life and they actually think that it's important to say that Phil freaked out about something today, when in reality, it's not important at all. I'm just some dude on the internet streaming games who gives a shit if Phil crashed out. If the biggest thing in your life today was saying Phil crashed out and I observed it, you have no life. Done.
I got the drip going. 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 It's like a faucet that's dripping. You can't make it stop. So what do you want me to do? Have a mute button that every second I'm tapping the mute button just in case I'm gonna have to clear? Like, this is what I mean, these dumb kids. This is what it is, it's dumb kids.